The NBA is screwing the Cavs in this Eastern Conference semifinals as they go down 0-2 against the Pacers, and fans are livid about this, blaming a lot of the series on officiating. And it's been a bunch of fans, including Pacers fans, actually, who are saying that there's been a lot of negative officiating in this series so far. I talked about it in my post-game video, how I feel about the officiating, but let's dive more into it, talk about these calls, most importantly, the calls at the end of the game, when calls matter the most. But before we get into that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button as you get updates like this, just opinions, rumors, literally anything, all things Cavs from me and Billy here at Cavs Digest. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. But today we're talking about the officiating, as it has been bringing controversy to a lot of fans, and especially to this series alone, as the Cavs, who were major favorites going into this series, got some injuries, and now they trail 0-2. A lot of fans are trying to point blame elsewhere other than just their performance, their play. Injuries are obviously the main factor, but let's talk about the officiating. As I said, I am not the biggest fan of blaming officials, as I said in my post-game video, but let's go dive into that a little bit. So the first reaction here we have, Tony Brothers, dude is the GOAT at inept officiating. This just came from a fan on Twitter. The inept officiating, if you don't know what that means, it means that it's basically you don't care at all. So this guy's saying that Tony Brothers is the greatest of all time at basically being a bad referee. So that's where this comes from. So I'm going to dive into the costly calls, but I kind of just want to show an opinion, and I'll dive into some of the calls. So the review came out about the calls, the final 2 minutes of officiating, and they broke down two calls that were both the same. They were lane violations. Here we go. This is the first one. I'll make it more readable for you guys. Multiple players enter the lane and cross the three-point line before the ball is released for the free throw. The basket should have been nullified and a jump ball held at midcourt. What play is this, you ask? Well, there's another one, actually, as well. Multiple players enter the lane and cross the three-point line before the ball is released for the free throw. So this was on the Halliburton game winner, so I will show you a good photo of that. But let's look about the first one here. This is the one where this happened. So that was a monstrous dunk, and I'm going to show it one more time because if you notice, number 2 and number 2 battling right here. Watch number 2. And you're going to see it. I'm going to show it again. You saw number 2 battling. That's the main focus of the video. But if you look to the left of the screen, you'll see number 23 from the Indiana Pacers slip in a little bit. So go look at the left side of the screen now. Right there, you see it. So before the ball was released, Naismith, who made the putback dunk, was actually in between the perimeter. So my full opinion on this. First of all, yes, this is a missed call at a costly area. And this is a call that is more commonly called, especially in scenarios like this. Shaq in the All-Star game is the most iconic one. But for the most part, lane violations on free throw lines is actually called more than like a defensive 3 in the key or a 5 seconds back to basket. Because I will say officials, in the key of their moment, they should be more focused on everything. While like a fan, like for me personally, when I watched this live, I didn't notice that this was a lane violation. I wasn't really thinking about it because I'm so focused on the free throw going in, and that's kind of my opinion on it. But that was on the Pacers Twitter, by the way, so they obviously tried showing, they tried ignoring that. They tried putting the more focus on the right side of the screen. That's why I said look at number 2, because you're probably going to try to think it's him, but then you're going to see on the left side of your screen, that is 23. So that's why I said look at number 2 first, and then replayed it and showed you 23. Because when you see it, you really don't notice it. Like when you're watching live as a fan, you're not really looking for like, oh, look, that guy stepped over the line. Now, sometimes, like my dad's example, big sports fan, he likes to point him out like, oh, is that not a travel? Like all the time. But when I'm watching the game, fouls are a lot easier to notice, travels, double dribbles, stuff like that. But when you're in the key moment of a game, you're not really looking like for the little things like a lane violation. But my personal opinion, it's a referee's job to do that. So I'm a little iffy on it, especially in a moment like that. And as I said, lane violations get called more than a lot of other calls that we don't see often. So now let's look at the other one that I showed you guys, which was this one right here. Multiple players enter the lane and cross the three-point line before the ball is released for the free throw, and the shooter steps over the plane of the free throw line before the ball touches the rim. The call should have been made and a jump ball held at midcourt. This was on the Tyrese Halliburton game winner. Again, if this is called, Again, there was costly mistakes like Cavs turnovers and a couple there was some weird missed fouls called on the inbounds. Like the guys were just getting grabbed, and I wish I had footage and photos of that. I should have looked back and grabbed some for you guys, but just go back and look at it. You could see. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of blaming officiating, especially when you lose a 20-point game and you have a lot of injured pieces. Like there are so many things wrong to where you shouldn't point focus to the officiating. But again, I just want to show you guys how fans are feeling about this. But this was what they're talking about. So this is actually before the ball hits the rim. I promise you it is. You can watch it yourself if you don't believe it. Go watch the final 30 seconds. Go watch. The Pacers actually have the final 30 seconds of the game fully on their Twitter, so go watch that. But you see it here. I wish I could show you guys with my mouse, but the free throw line is where Sam Merrill is standing, number 5, in white, and then where number 0, the free throw shooter, is over the line. So the free throw shooter is not allowed to move until the ball has hit the rim. Now, the guys that are boxing out are allowed to move once the ball releases the hand. So you see Jarrett Allen, Max Strus, Donovan Mitchell all in the paint. They're allowed to be there. And then somebody's boxing out Tyrese Halliburton, Ty Jerome. So those guys are allowed to be there. But Halliburton is not allowed to until the ball hits the rim. And that's just the rule. I'll show you it again in case you missed it. Multiple players enter lane and cross the three-point line before the ball is released for the free throw. So again, everyone that's rebounding except the shooter is allowed to move once the ball gets released, while the shooter can't. So the shooter did, and that is a missed call in a scenario where the game winner wouldn't have happened. Again, how do I feel about officiating personally? I don't think I'm the last person to ever blame officiating normally. Now, but when there are costly calls like this, I understand why fans are really, really upset, and I see why fans are upset. But again, there's obviously more issues that should be focused on, and just got to hope that Atkinson makes the right choices and that players come and play. Go check out Billy's video last night about Darius Garland and Stephen A. Smith's reaction in playing. But let's look at some other reactions. So this one has some sensitive language, just the F word, but I just wanted to point that out just in case if you guys don't like that. But yeah, this was Cavs vs. Pacers, a summary. Ref, I go straight up and contest. It can't possibly be a foul, right? Tony Brothers, F the Cavs. I just thought that was really, really funny. And then we have this as well. This is another tweet, serious question because nobody talked about it on the broadcast. Why was Naismith allowed so far inside the three-point arc before the free throw was released? I showed you guys that video. I'm going to show you guys the video one more time in case you missed it. Yeah, you see it as Siakam, and it is pretty close, but not really. As Siakam starts to lift is when Naismith starts to get closer. So ball has to be released first. It's not like, as I said, the shooter who has to wait until the ball hits the rim. The guys on the perimeter are all allowed to move whenever. And you see, I showed you guys this again. This one I still find so funny. And then oh my gosh, I feel like it's kind of like coping to us as Cavs fans to blame officials. And as I said, if you saw my last video, I do not want to blame officials, but it's all over Twitter. If you just scroll through anything Cavs Pacers related, and again, I showed you a couple of the reactions from fans. All 3 of these right here are all reactions from fans. But yeah, I think it's a coping mechanism to find something to blame outside of the play of the Cavaliers. But again, it's kind of hard not to just be angry at everything in the world. I'm very, of course, I love making this content for you guys, but it's hard to try to find positive things to point out about the Cavs' previous games. And that's kind of, if you see our content, it's been pretty negative about the Cavs. We're really optimistic. We want the Cavs to win, of course. And it's just been a little rougher, just these last 2 games. But I genuinely believe that they can pull it out still. But I want to know your guys' opinion on the officiating. That's the main point of this video. I want to know, do you guys think that officiating has played a major part in it? I didn't really get any reactions from Game 1 or any... I saw in a comment section. I should have grabbed that. I'm pretty sure it was an Instagram comment section on the Cavs Instagram post about their previous finals, like their Game 1 final score. They always post the final score after every game. And I'm pretty sure one of the top comments said rest versus Cavs. Just things like that. But again, I feel like it's really, really tough to blame officials in scenarios in which you blow a 20-point lead, you blow a 7-point lead. But these were also 2 calls that came so late in the game that made such a big difference. That should never happen, and it's a call that I see get called all the time. So I really want to know your guys' opinion on how you feel about, has officiating been that bad this series? Is Tony Brothers that bad? Or should we not blame the officials at all? So let's talk about the officials in the comment section. Of course, hit that subscribe button. And thank you guys for joining me on Cavs Digest.